Hey everyone, it's Phoebe at Field & Forest Products, and today we are introducing a new do-it-yourself block kit. Today we are introducing a Hen of the Woods block kit for outdoor production.
Typically, Hen of the Woods for outdoor production is done on logs that must be pre-treated, inoculated, and then buried in the early summer. This process bypasses some of that labor.
Every year we have a sale on 8 block sets of ready-to-bury Maitake blocks. This year we are introducing a set where you can make these blocks yourselves. In this video we are going over how to make your blocks, when to bury your blocks, and when you can expect fruiting. This kit will include enough materials to make 8 of your own ready-to-bury Hen of the Woods blocks. That will include 1 4-pound bag of Hen of the Woods grain spawn, 8 filter disc bags, enough fuel pellets to make 8 of these blocks, as well as enough bran. The only thing that you will need to provide for this kit is a kettle in which to boil water. One thing to keep in mind that there are different varieties of Hen of the Woods. There's Hen of the Woods for indoor cultivation as well as Hen of the Woods for outdoor cultivation. Today we are using a specialty grain spawn of the log variety that we traditionally only create in sawdust spawn. However, for this project we have some specialty bags of grain spawn made for making your own blocks. The reason that we are using the log strain is because it is more adapted to outdoor production and therefore mimics nature a little bit better. One thing to keep in mind is that the grain spawn for this Maitake strain will look like this. It won't have that really heavy white mycelium like you see in oyster grain spawn, so when it arrives to you looking like this, don't worry. The first step that you'll need to make your blocks for outdoor buried Maitake production is to add your substrate to the filter disc bag. Into this filter disc bag, we will be adding 5 cups of hardwood fuel pellets, and 1/2 cup of bran. The next step in this process is to add 5 cups of boiling water into this bag of substrate. This is a specialty mushroom growing bag and will safely handle boiling water. However, keep in mind that boiling water is still hot, so please use caution. While you're adding boiling water, the fuel pellets in this bag will expand, turning into a sawdust mixture. After adding the boiling water, close the bag and fold it over, keeping an air pocket within the bag. Shake this bag to evenly distribute the moisture. This bag needs to completely cool before you can add your Hen of the Woods grain spawn. Let this cool for at least 12 hours before pouring in your grain spawn. After your substrate bags have cooled for at least 12 hours, you can now inoculate the bags. With this method, you are using a very high inoculation rate, just as this wasn't a true sterilization process. Into each of these bags, we are going to put 1.5 cups of the Maitake grain spawn. Best practice, the first step for everything is to disinfect everything. If you have a flow hood, you can certainly do this process underneath that hood. However, most folks don't have that in their house, so what I would recommend is just spraying down your surface with some sort of disinfectant, cleaning off your hands, and then also cleaning off the bag before you open it, just to prevent any unnecessary contaminants.
Add 1.5 cups of grain spawn to each bag. It's best to do this in an area that doesn't get a lot of traffic, but again, with such a high inoculation rate, you shouldn't see much in the way of contaminants unless you're actively breathing into the bag. Roll the bag down, trapping air to create an air bubble. Shake thoroughly and then close the bag with a rubber band. Make sure as you're putting the rubber band on that you leave enough air within the bag so that the mycelium can breathe. Shaking thoroughly will ensure that the grains are well distributed throughout your substrate, leading to a more even colonization.
You will want to let this bag sit for at least 3 months before you move it outside to bury it. Within those 3 months, you will notice your bag will turn from this substrate, this brown raw substrate, into a block more like this. These were inoculated almost 3 months ago, and you can see the mycelium has taken over and formed these orange patches. This creates a nice skin over the block that helps protect it for outdoor cultivation, which is specific to this log strain. You may also see the beginning of some fruiting bodies on the top of the bag. That's great. That means that your block is healthy and will be ready to produce mushrooms as soon as we move it outside and the temperatures are right. With this process, as it is not a true sterilization process, it's not uncommon to see some contamination spots. However, this Maitake strain is strong enough that it will form a cell around that contamination and prevent it from spreading throughout the block. So if you see some localized green spots, don't worry.
After the 3-month wait period, though you can wait longer, you can bury the blocks outside in a shady protected area. You will want to bury them at least 3 to 4 weeks before the wild hen of the woods start fruiting. For us here in Wisconsin, that means you want to have the blocks buried anytime between June 1st and August 1st. To bury, cover the blocks with sawdust or wood chips. You're aiming to have at least 2 inches of wood chips covering the top of the Maitake blocks. Blocks will start producing hen of the woods slightly before or during the time frame when the wild ones start making their appearance.